Rolex just did something they swore they'd never do. And Omega? They followed with a move so aggressive, collectors are literally canceling their wait lists. I'm not talking about a new release or a limited edition. I'm talking about a price war that's about to flip the entire luxury watch game upside down. What happened in the last 48 hours is going to make you rethink everything you know about buying luxury watches in 2026. And honestly, some of you watching this are about to feel a little sick about the watch you just bought last month. Let me explain. February 2026. 2 press releases, 2 brands, 1 massive problem. Here's what went down. Rolex announced they're slashing authorized dealer prices on their core sports models by an average of 8 to 12%. We're talking Submariner, GMT Master 2, on Daytona, the watches that have had wait lists longer than a Netflix series. But here's the kicker. They're not just lowering prices. They're flooding authorized dealers with inventory. The watches you couldn't get for 2 years? Now they're sitting in display cases like it's 2019 again. And then Omega walked into the room with a sledgehammer. They didn't just match Rolex's price cuts, they went nuclear. Omega dropped prices on their Seamaster and Speedmaster lines by 15 to 18%, introduced a trade-in program that pays above market value for your old Omega. And here's the part that has watch dealers panicking. They're offering 0% financing for 24 months at authorized dealers. You're probably thinking, wait, luxury brands don't do this. They raise prices. They create scarcity. That's the whole game. Exactly. So what changed? Here's what they're not telling you in those polished press releases. The secondary market is eating them alive. Let me hit you with some numbers that should make every Rolex AD nervous. In 2022, a stainless steel Submariner on the gray market was selling for $18,000, sometimes $20,000. That's almost double the retail price of $10,250. Rolex loved it. Free marketing, status symbol, investment piece. Fast forward to January 2026. That same sub, $11,500 on Chrono 24. Some desperate sellers are listing at $10,800, below retail, for a Rolex Submariner. The Daytona used to command $40,000 on the secondary market. Now it's hovering around $24,000 to $26,000. Still above retail, but the trajectory is terrifying if you're Rolex. And here's the really scary part. Volume. According to WatchCharts.com, the secondary market sales velocity dropped 41% year over year. People aren't buying. They're not even browsing. The hype machine ran out of fuel. Omega saw the same thing. Their Speedmaster Professional, the Moonwatch, the Icon, was trading at $6,200 just 6 months ago. Today, $4,800. That's a 23% drop. So what do you do when your products are losing value in the aftermarket? When the investment narrative crumbles? When customers realize they can get the watch cheaper from a gray market dealer than waiting 2 years at an AD? You adapt or you die. Now, Rolex and Omega aren't stupid. This isn't panic. This is calculated warfare. Think about it. For years, these brands let the secondary market inflate their prices. It built mystique, but it also created a massive problem. It priced out an entire generation of buyers. Millennials and Gen Z watch enthusiasts were getting shut out. They couldn't afford $18,000 for a Submariner. They couldn't justify it when a Tudor, owned by Rolex, by the way, offered 80% of the experience for $4,500. So Rolex's move, genius, honestly. Lower prices, flood supply, kill the gray market dealers who've been profiting off their scarcity, and recapture the customers who gave up and bought Tudor, Grand Seiko, or God forbid, a smartwatch. Omega's move is even smarter. They're not just competing with Rolex anymore. They're competing with the perception that Omega is almost Rolex, but not quite. By going aggressive on pricing, trade-ins, and financing, they're saying, why wait 2 years and pay $13,000 for a Submariner when you can walk out today with a Seamaster for $6,500? And that trade-in program? Diabolical. They're buying back old Omegas at inflated prices to lock customers into new purchases. It's brand loyalty on steroids. But here's where it gets messy. Not everyone's happy about this. Gray market dealers are furious. Authorized dealers are confused. And collectors, especially the ones who bought at peak prices, are in full panic mode. I've been reading forums, Discord channels, Reddit threads. There's a guy who bought a Daytona for $38,000 in 2023. He thought it was an investment. Now he's watching it bleed value. He can't sell it without taking a $10,000 plus loss. That's not a watch anymore. That's a financial disaster strapped to his wrist. In the gray market, they're stuck with inventory they paid premium prices for. That's now underwater. Some dealers are liquidating at cost just to free up cash. It's a bloodbath. But, and here's the part most people aren't talking about, this is exactly what the watch industry needed. The bubble was unsustainable. Watches became financial instruments instead of, well, watches. People were buying Rolex and Patek not because they loved horology, but because YouTube and Instagram told them it was a smart investment. That era is over. So what does this mean if you're watching this video? If you've been on a wait list, congratulations, your time just got a whole lot shorter. That Submariner or Speedmaster you wanted? It's about to be easier and cheaper to get than it's been in 5 years. If you bought at peak prices, I'm sorry, genuinely. But you learned an expensive lesson. Never buy hype. Buy what you love. A watch isn't an investment unless it's a vintage Daytona or a Nautilus, and even those aren't safe anymore. And if you're new to watches, this is your moment. The barriers are coming down. You can actually walk into a store and buy a luxury watch without knowing a guy who knows a guy. And if you're a gray market dealer, well, it might be time to pivot. But here's what really matters. This price war isn't just about Rolex and Omega. This is about the entire luxury watch industry waking up to reality. Tudor, Tag Heuer, Breitling, everyone's watching. If Rolex can drop prices and survive, everyone can. We might be entering an era where watches are actually priced fairly, where you pay for craftsmanship, heritage, and design, not artificial scarcity. Some people think this is the beginning of the end for luxury watches. I think it's the opposite. This is the beginning of watches being about passion again, about craftsmanship, about wearing something beautiful on your wrist because it makes you happy, not because you think it'll appreciate 20% in 3 years. Rolex and Omega just changed the game. Whether that's good or bad depends on where you're standing. But one thing's for sure, 2026 is going to be wild. If you want to stay ahead of this story, because trust me, it's just getting started, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment and tell me, are you Team Rolex or Team Omega? And if you bought a watch in the last year, how are you feeling right now? Be honest, this is just the beginning, and I'll be here breaking down every move. See you in the next one.